All right. I think we're going to go ahead and get started. So welcome everyone to the Billing Requirement Templates webinar. This is a new feature that we're really excited about. And it's been something that I know a lot of people have been asking for. So I hope you guys like it, and I hope you're able to start using it, and it makes your life a lot easier. So for presenting today, it's me, Matt Kelly. I think I know most of you, but for those of you who don't know me, I work on the implementations here at Flashtract. So I'm just going to go over the agenda for today. We're just going to start off with an overview of what the feature is and how it works and everything like that. And then we'll just talk about the benefits of using that new feature. And then after that, I'm going to get into a product demo where I'll show you how you can use it. And then if you could save all your questions towards the end, we can have a Q&A session at the end for anyone who has any questions. So previously, the billing requirements in Flashtract, those were always just set at the contract level. And the reason we did this was to allow for flexibility if you had different contracts on a project that would need different requirements. And that way you could go ahead and have slightly different requirements on the contracts. You were able to add them to all existing contracts at once, but you were not able to, proactively add them as new contracts were added. If you added a new contract, you would have to then go in and add those billing requirements. So we did know that there were some drawbacks we heard from a lot of you guys. It could definitely be really tedious to have to re-add those requirements every time you have a new contract, especially if you have a lot of requirements that you have each time. You also weren't able to edit the requirements once they were on a contract. If you went ahead and you added all the contracts, realized that you had them set up to be e-signed and you need them physically signed, you couldn't edit those. You'd have to go in, delete them all out, then re-add them, and that would just take a long time as well. There was nothing really in place to make sure that billing requirements were consistent across all contracts. So you could add a couple contracts, set up the requirements later on, add a few more, and maybe forget one or set it up slightly different. And then, it was definitely just time consuming, especially if, on all of your projects and all of your contracts, you pretty much have the same requirements. It was one of those things where you felt like you really should be able to just always use those, and it should be really easy to do that. So now with our new billing requirement templates, you're able to create and save multiple templates. So you could have a different template for different states that you work in, different owners or clients that you work with based on what they require. And then once you create and save those templates, you can assign those to a project at that project level. So once you go ahead and you assign that template to that project, it's going to automatically add those requirements to all new and existing contracts on that project. And you do still have that flexibility to have contract specific requirements. So if you had one subcontract where you needed an additional requirement or you didn't need a specific project level requirement, you can override that. So we do still have that flexibility, and you can disable those project level requirements on specific contracts as well. Excuse me. So just to talk about the benefits of this new feature and really why we added it, is you're going to save a ton of time by not having to continuously add requirements to new contracts. You just set it up and you add that template to the project and it'll automatically do it for you, really just creating a lot of automation. You're going to have a lot of confidence knowing that all the contracts are going to have the same billing requirements. You can set those up at the company level. And then, if you have a new person on board, you're not going to have to teach them exactly what they need to do. You just need to tell them, oh, we need the Georgia billing requirement template, and they can go ahead and do that. You're now also easily able to adjust billing requirements. So if you set up your billing requirements and you realize that you actually needed it to be physically signed instead of e-signed, you can update that on all your contracts at once really easily. And it really just creates consistency of billing requirements across all of those contracts. They're going to be the exact same on the project for all those contracts unless you go in and make those exceptions. And really, this is just going to let you get those invites sent out faster to your subs so that they can start billing. So now I'm just going to get into a product demo and show you how it works. So I'm just logged in. I have two projects here. One where I already have some contracts set up, and then one where I don't have any contracts. So if you want to go in and actually create these templates to be able to use for later, you just need to click on your name and then go into company settings here. And now we've added, a lot of you probably have already noticed this new menu item called billing requirement templates. So I can just click on that. And here is where you're able to create and save all of those templates. So you can see here, I have this default billing requirement template, and I have this Georgia billing requirement template. So let's just say, for example, you're expanding and you're starting to now do work in Texas, and you want to be able to use the Texas lien waivers for that. If you wanted to create a new template, you could just come in here, click create template, call it Texas billing requirement template, and then you can go ahead and you can add in those requirements. So I'll just go in, say on every submission, I want this standard pay app, e-signed, go ahead and click save. We'll go in, we'll add our Texas partial, choose the last submission, Texas final conditional. And then for uncontrolled requirements, let's just say that on those bills with stored materials, we want stored materials backup. So once you set up those requirements, you can just hit save. And now this is a new template that you can use and apply across different projects. So once you create those templates and you want to actually apply it to a project, I'm just going to go back to my dashboard and I'm going to click into this billing requirements templates webinar. So here's an example of an existing project that already has some billing requirements on it. So I'm just going to click in here, click view billing requirements. So it looks like this actually doesn't have it set up on it yet. So if you want to add in those billing requirements, you just need to go over here to billing requirements, and then you can choose which one you want. So on this, if I wanted to add in default billing requirements, I can just click apply template. And now if I go back to my contracts, I can click into this one here, click view billing requirements, and it's gone ahead and it's added in all of these requirements to this contract. So then from there, for example, since you still are able to make contract specific requirements, let's just say, for example, on this site work person, you also wanted them to upload, maybe their supplier lists, to upload that. You could come down here to uncontrolled requirements, click add another requirement, and say that on that first submission, you want this supplier list. Click save. And you'll see that it'll add it to this specific contract, and you can see the level that it's set at. So the template that we created, that's applied at the project level, but we then have this supplier list that's only on this contract. So another thing that you can also do, maybe for this contractor, you don't necessarily need a pay app. Maybe they use just an invoice because it's a supplier or something. You can come in here, click this view, and you can set certain requirements to inactive. And then again, you could add additional requirements as well. So there really still is a lot of flexibility on how you set up these different requirements on these contracts. So you still have that ability to change it based on who's actually submitting, who the subcontractor is, what you need from them. So I also have this other project here where I don't have any contracts yet. So let's just say I just created this project and I want to be able to eventually add in all of the billing requirements. So I'm just going to go to billing requirements, and let's just say this is one that's in Texas. So I'll go ahead and I'll apply that template. So now that I've applied this template, as we add new contracts, or maybe if you have an integration, as you interface more contracts, it'll automatically add that billing requirement there as well. So if I just go and upload some contracts, click create contracts. Now, if I go in and click on this contract and go to view billing requirements, you can see that they're already there. So this really takes away that manual step of having to add in those billing requirements afterwards. Or I know that a lot of people, they'll currently create a bunch of dummy contracts and then go in, assign all of the documents, and then just change those contracts as they sign them. So that's something that you're not really going to have to do anymore. You can just set up these billing requirements at the beginning of the project and then just add the contracts as they're actually created. And again, another thing to note is, let's just say we applied this template and we realized that we're in Texas and the owner we're working with really wants those lien waivers physically signed. Before, you would need to go in, delete each of those requirements on each contract, and then go in and re-add them, and that could be really time consuming. So now, super easily, if I need these to be wet signed, I can just click edit and change this from electronic signature to physical signature, click save, go to the other lien waiver, change it to a physical signature, and hit save. And then now if I go back, I can click in, view the billing requirements, I can view it, and you can see that it's now for a physical signature. So you can super easily and super quickly go in and adjust those billing requirements on the entire project, really in just a couple clicks, whereas before it was pretty time consuming having to go in and do that. Also, if you realize that you applied the wrong template and you applied this Texas one, for example, and you realize, oh, this is actually in Georgia, should have been a Georgia lien waiver billing template, you can go ahead and click remove all. And that's going to go ahead and remove all of the billing requirements that are set at the project level for this project. And then if I wanted the Georgia one, I could come in, click apply template. And now if I go back in and look at my contract again, we now have the Georgia lien waivers there. So that's pretty much the new feature. I know that a lot of you guys are probably really excited about it. It's going to save you guys a lot of time. So with that, I'm going to get back to the slide deck and get into the Q&A. So if anyone has any questions, feel free to submit those through the Q&A section of the Zoom meeting. So let's start off. Jen asks, when the lien waivers are uploaded, are they automatically changed to PDF fillable? We don't currently do PDF fillable forms. If there's documents that have fields that need to be filled out, we can configure those so that you can type in what you want there. But as far as being able to go in and actually fill out on the screen what's there, we do not have that functionality. And then Renee asks, what happens if you have someone submit a waiver on the wrong template and you have to change? Does it delete what was already approved? So it's not going to delete any, if you set up the lien waivers and the subcontractor or whoever goes ahead and submits, the documents that were set at that time of submission, those are going to be what gets generated. So it's not going to replace what was already submitted and electronically or physically signed. If you needed that to change, you would have to decline that pay app, change the requirements, and then have them resubmit. So does editing the requirements from the original templates change them for each project that the template is set for? Or will I need to go into each project and edit it at that level? I'm actually going to give that one to Garrett and see what he says about that one.
Yeah, sure. Hey, Tara. Yeah, so today there is a bit of a disconnect between the templates and the requirements that get copied to a project. So out of the gate, you would have to adjust that requirement on each project. But ultimately, where we're working toward in the future is a world where optionally, if you change a requirement or change anything on a given template, you'll have the option to have that sort of trickle down to all of the projects where that template was applied. That just wasn't a part of this first release.
And then someone asked about jobs that are already in progress. So they're asking if it would duplicate the requirements for the contracts that are already set up. So it won't go ahead and duplicate that. So I can actually just show you what that would look like here. So let's just say if I come into this one, I'm just gonna remove all the requirements here. And if I come in here and add submission requirements the old way, so I'll just say here, I want this Flashtract standard pay app. And I want this default partial lien waiver. So now if I click into this contract and view the billing requirements, you can see that they're set here at the contract level. So now if I come in and I go to billing requirements and I apply this default billing requirement template, and now if I go look at the contracts that exist and then click in here, you'll see that it shows the project and the contract level requirements that are there. So here for the ones that were project level, that for that template we just applied, it added those, but it set them to inactive. This way it's not going to, ask your sub to submit 2 pay apps or 2 lien waivers or anything like that. It's only going to generate one, but the contract level one that is set does take precedence over the project level one. And that's just so that if you did have, different exceptions for a certain sub or for any reason like that, it will use the one set at the contract. But if you came in here and, you realize this is the same and you need it, you could go ahead and delete the contract level one and then come in here to this other one and set it to active. And there is also a fail-safe. So if I tried to set this one to active where I already have the contract requirement, it'll actually throw an error letting you know that you can't have duplicate requirements either. Well, if there's not any other questions, just wanted to point out that I know this has been something that a lot of people have been asking for, and we're excited to get it out there so that you guys can use it and really save a lot of time. Just a kind of a preview for things we're also planning in the future. And Garrett, you can correct me here if I'm getting ahead of myself, but I do know that for compliance items, for example, we're planning on doing something similar where you can just go ahead and set that up as well at the beginning. And as you just add new vendors to the project, it'll start adding those compliance items as well. So that's something that we also have coming out in the future, just to save you guys some time and to help automate the whole process for you. So if people don't have any more questions, I think that, we're good. If you guys have any questions, need any help with this, feel free to reach out to us and we'd be happy to kind of show you some more about it or anything like that. But yeah, everyone, thanks for joining. Hope you guys like the feature. And yeah, we have more features coming out soon.